Let's talk about cancel culture. Not in the vague, buzzwordy way people use it to dodge accountability, but the real, modern day version of it. The version where someone gets blacklisted from an event, not because they broke any rules, not because they called out the event in any way, or harassed anyone, but simply because someone didn't like their vibe. This is a problem, and it's not just for creators, and it's not just for conventions, but for us as a society. Because when we start confusing personal dislike with community safety and start labeling disagreement as danger, we've officially gone off the rails. Recently, YouTuber and NASCAR driver Cody Dennison, better known as Camelot331 online, was kicked out of the upcoming Game Geek Expo, simply because he's right-leaning, openly states his opinions on stream, and his main sponsor is Timcast? That's about the gist of it from what has been made available. Regardless of political standing, we should stand together to put a stop to this idea that canceling someone based on opinions alone is justifiable. It's not. To make these points, I'm going to go over some of the recent events that happened between Game & Geek Expo and Camelot331. But I think the lesson here can be applied to many other things. So, let's get into it. To begin, let me read a bit of the initial email that they sent him, notifying him that he was no longer invited to the convention that they invited him to. Hi, Cody. Thank you again for your interest in being part of the Game & Geek Expo. We appreciate the time and effort you've put into your content and the support you've shown towards our event. After careful consideration, we've made the decision to move forward without your involvement in this year's show. While we truly appreciate your recent efforts, including the removal of one of the flagged videos, additional content has since surfaced that has raised continued concerns from our community, guests, and sponsors. Unfortunately, we've already experienced the loss of a sponsor and several other guest participants due to this situation, and it is beginning to negatively affect the overall perception and inclusivity of our event. Please understand, this is not a reflection of who you are as a creator, but rather a necessary step to ensure we are maintaining a space that is welcoming, respectful, and positive for all attendees and partners. We absolutely respect your right to creative expression and free speech, but we also have a responsibility to our broader community. Nowhere in this email is there any specific behavior mentioned, just concerns, vibes, the suggestion of discomfort. Look, I get events have to make decisions to protect their communities, but when inclusivity starts being defined as exclude anyone we disagree with, we've officially lost the plot. And yeah, I'm on the left. I believe in social safety nets, climate action, and that people can love who they love. Also, as you can see, I'm using a VTube rig. I love animation, anime, and cosplay. I know these are things that Cody has been critical of in the past, but people are entitled to their opinions. I believe in fairness, in being consistent, and you don't get to preach about diversity and inclusion while blacklisting people just because they lean right and have a raunchy sense of humor. That's not justice, that's tribalism. Cody isn't organizing hate rallies. He's not pushing violent rhetoric. He's a guy, again, with a raunchy sense of humor. He sometimes has spicy takes. Anytime I've personally tuned in, I've heard him talk about games, NASCAR, and occasionally he riffs on political nonsense. If you're absolutely lucky, you'll have seen his naked snake. In America, this all falls under freedom of speech. You don't have to agree with him. I don't agree with everything he says, but he wasn't going to the con to give a political speech. He was there to meet fans, to sell merch, and to nerd out. In fact, as mentioned prior, the con is the one who invited him, as he's set to appear in an upcoming NASCAR game. He even gave away tickets to this event. He promoted it on his stream. He spent close to $1,000 on merch for it, money he won't get back. He even took down a video for them to try and find common ground, but they still followed through in banning him from the event that they originally invited him to. So when they say community, what does that actually mean? To me, community means making space for people who might think differently from us. Obviously, as long as they're not harming anyone. It means being able to put aside our differences long enough to enjoy the thing that we all came there for. Comics, anime, games, and maybe a little cosplay. You know, the fandom. Why have we forgotten how to do that? Why are we stuck in this toxic feedback loop where everyone we disagree with becomes an enemy? It's just not sustainable. It's not progressive. It's regressive. It's emotional immaturity wrapped up in social justice language. We need two sides of the same coin, and we can't continue creating echo chambers while shouting equality. You wouldn't want to lose your job because someone at your office said, "I just don't like their Instagram reel." If you wouldn't want that to happen to you, then maybe don't push for that when the roles are reversed. The real issue, though, it's personal grudges masquerading as morality. This wasn't about policy, and it wasn't about safety. It was personal. Someone didn't like him, his opinions on anime, or didn't like the idea of him being associated with Timcast. The jury is still out on this one. Even the audio between Cody and the event organizers hint towards the exclusion being over a difference of opinion. In fact, the organizer himself seems to be on Cody's side, even asking Cody, "How can we solve this?" At no point is the solution to apologize and re-invite Cody to the con that they originally invited him to. The only solution he has is to give money to Cody to shut him up. Someone started a whisper campaign behind the scenes, and it worked. And that's not protecting your guests. It's allowing childish behavior to take away the opportunities of others disguised as community. And when the con failed to recognize their mistake and simply doubled down on this childish behavior, they can't act surprised when there's backlash. We've all worked with people we don't like. Maybe we clash politically, maybe we don't vibe, maybe we don't agree. But that doesn't mean we try and ruin each other's opportunities or shame each other publicly. We handle it like adults. We focus on the common ground. But what happened here was not adult. It wasn't inclusive. It was performative and petty, and it reflects horribly on the convention and its leadership. This whole situation is a perfect example of the line in the sand problem. Every time someone gets excluded over vibes and vague accusations, the goalposts move again, and the bar for being problematic keeps getting lower. Today it's Cody, tomorrow it's someone else. And here's the kicker, it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't make events safer. It doesn't create understanding, and it doesn't make marginalized people feel safe or more welcome. It just polarizes everyone even further. Because when you kick someone out over politics, all you're really saying is, only people who think like us are allowed in here. And that's not a community, that's a clique. So let's fix this. I'm tired of this mindset, to be honest. I want us to get back to being nerds again, to finding common ground, and perhaps even rewriting prior prejudices, bonding over dumb anime lore, fast cars, comic books, and which Pokemon is objectively the worst starter. We need to relearn how to live with people we disagree with. Not every problem needs to be solved with a ban or a boycott. Sometimes the adult thing to do is to talk it out, or to simply close the tab and move on. We don't have to be friends, but we should be fair. And that's what didn't happen here. Cody didn't deserve this. And even if you don't like him or Timcast or whatever he said on a stream months ago, you should still care that this is happening. Because this is America, where we're supposed to champion free speech and expression, and sometimes that means you don't agree with someone else, but that does not mean they don't deserve to take part in society. We can't keep letting people's careers or reputations hang on whether or not someone at a vendor booth got offended by their sponsor or something they said in passing. It's absolutely absurd. This is less a call out to Geek Expo, but to the cancel culture movement as a whole. Aim to do better. Build bridges. Don't burn them. Learn to live with people. And to management, understand when your staff is being petty and when there's actual reason to be concerned. If you cannot give links to the creator in the email, removing them from the event, then there likely is really no reason to remove him from the event. Hey, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you've got thoughts on this. Drop a comment. I'd love to hear from people on all sides. Seriously, let's talk. But if you're at a convention anytime soon, just remember, we're all there because we love the same stuff. And let's not lose sight of that.